Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the ultimate Capital Craft 10-year wealth building roadmap. Look, if you've ever felt like you're just endlessly running on a financial treadmill, working 40 hours a week, getting to the very end of the month and realizing there is absolutely nothing left over, then this is absolutely for you. Today, we're stripping away all the noise to answer one simple but incredibly powerful question. If I had to start from absolute zero today, what exactly would I do? By the end of this explainer, you're going to have a concrete, step-by-step blueprint that makes building wealth over the next decade practically a mathematical certainty.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Starting with absolute zero in savings and zero in investments, it can be incredibly intimidating, right? You look at your bank account, you see a literal zero, and honestly, it's paralyzing. It feels like everyone else is miles and miles ahead in the race. But let's reframe that right now. Because millions of people out there aren't even starting at zero, they're starting at negative $30,000 because of suffocating consumer debt. If you are starting at zero, you have a completely clean slate. There's no bad debt to untangle right off the bat, no messy, complicated investment portfolios to try and fix, and no previous financial baggage weighing down your new strategy. Zero is actually a really powerful starting line. It's pure, unadulterated potential, and it is exactly where our journey begins today.
Now we all know the internet is completely flooded with these get-rich-quick schemes. Crypto day trading fantasies, overnight millionaire myths, the flashy cars rented for the weekend just to sell you a course. We are entirely ditching that fluff. It's a massive distraction. Actually, scratch that, it's worse than a distraction, it's a trap. Instead, we are strictly focusing on a pragmatic, highly realistic approach designed specifically for an average income earner. True wealth is almost never built on luck, lotteries, or timing the market perfectly. It's built on repeatable, realistic actions. And this entire explainer is dedicated exclusively to those proven actions that quietly turn regular paychecks into lasting wealth.
So here is the exact roadmap we'll be following today to take you from financially overwhelmed to building real wealth. We'll work through 1. Starting from absolute zero. 2. The financial foundation. 3. Accelerating your earning power. 4. The wealth building engine. And finally, 5. Your 10-year transformation.
Let's jump right into phase 1, starting from absolute zero. We have to acknowledge exactly where you are right now.
If you're pulling in an average income and have absolutely nothing saved, listen up, because you are the exact target for this Capital Craft methodology. This isn't some pie-in-the-sky strategy for someone taking home a massive six-figure tech CEO salary, and it definitely doesn't rely on a sudden windfall or inheritance. We are talking about optimizing a standard $50,000 to $70,000 a year paycheck. You see, way too many people fall into the trap of believing that wealth building is only for people who are already wealthy, so they never even start. And that is a devastating myth. You just need a regular paycheck and the willingness to optimize it. This is for the everyday person who's finally ready to take total control of their financial destiny. Moving right along to phase 2, the financial foundation. Because honestly, you cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. You have to establish a rock-solid base. So, to get that base, we have 3 absolute survival steps: budgeting, emergency funds, and debt elimination. And I cannot stress this enough. These must be tackled in this exact sequential order to regain control of your money. Order absolutely matters here. Imagine trying to aggressively pay off your credit card, right? But you haven't built an emergency fund yet. What happens when your car's transmission suddenly blows? You have zero cash, so you go right back to swiping the credit card, putting yourself right back into debt. It's a vicious cycle. Step 1 unlocks Step 2, which in turn fuels Step 3. Let's break down exactly how you execute these components. All right, Step 1 is budgeting. I know, nobody likes that word, but it is really just the foundational act of tracking your income and directing every single dollar towards specific, realistic actions. Budgeting isn't a punishment, it's simply giving your money a mission. If you constantly get to the 30th of the month and wonder where your paycheck went, you're basically financially bleeding out, and you have to stop the bleed. A really tangible way to do this is using a framework like the 50-30-20 rule. You allocate 50% of your income to absolute needs, things like housing and groceries, 30% to your wants, and a strict 20% explicitly to savings and debt payoff. Doing this gives your money a crystal clear job description the very second it hits your bank account.
Okay, once that budget is locked in, you immediately pivot to accumulating cash for an emergency buffer. Usually, this means saving up 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses. Think of this as your financial body armor against life's inevitable surprises. A surprise medical bill, a sudden job loss, or that blown transmission we talked about. Once that shield is up, it completely frees you to systematically and aggressively crush your existing debt. This is where you deploy strategies like the debt snowball, where you pay off your smallest balances first to get that massive psychological win, or the debt avalanche, where you attack the highest interest rates first to mathematically save the most money. Whichever you choose, the goal is the same. You absolutely must secure this financial stability, zero consumer debt, and a fully funded emergency net, before you even think about tossing a single dollar into the stock market.
Next up, Phase 3, accelerating your earning power. This is where we level up both your primary and supplementary income.
Up to this point, you've been playing incredible defense by budgeting and clearing out debt. But now we play offense. To break out of the average income trap, you have to attack your earning potential from two totally distinct angles. The first strategy is skill development. This means taking courses, getting certifications, or mastering new software to enhance your primary career value and force your base salary upward. For example, spending $500 and a few focused weekends on a high-demand data analysis certification could easily translate to a $10,000 raise at your day job. The second strategy is side hustles, generating supplementary income streams entirely outside of your 9-to-5. This could be anything from freelance writing to doing some local consulting. By simultaneously leveling up your career skills while leveraging side hustles to increase cash flow, you drastically supercharge the amount of capital you have available to deploy. It's an absolute game changer.
All right, Phase 4, the wealth building engine. This is where we transition from simply saving to true investing.
With no debt hanging over your head and a flood of extra income from your newly leveled up earning power, we enter the most exciting phase. This is where your financial life changes forever. We're transitioning from merely saving money to active investing in asset acquisition. You don't just put extra cash in a checking account to slowly be eaten alive by inflation. Oh no. Every single extra dollar now becomes an employee working tirelessly for you. You put it to work through smart investing in the markets and acquiring actual assets, like broad market index funds. Think about the incredible math of compound interest for a second. If you invest just $500 a month at an average 8% return, you aren't just saving $6,000 a year. Over a decade, that money starts making its own money, compounding and snowballing into nearly $92,000. You are literally buying assets that reliably put cash back into your pocket over time. This right here is the core mechanism of the wealthy.
Which brings us to our final phase, Phase 5, your 10-year transformation. Let's look at the massive picture of this entire decade-long journey.
Look, true wealth creation does not happen overnight. We know that. But when you break it down into these highly achievable chronological phases, that 10-year goal becomes a strategic reality. Think about the emotional journey of this timeline. Years 1 and 2, they are a serious grind. This period is dedicated entirely to building the foundation, getting that budget incredibly tight, making sacrifices to fund your emergency cash, and aggressively wiping out that lingering debt. It's hard work, for sure, but it is temporary. Then years 3 to 5 bring a massive momentum shift. You are heavily focused on income acceleration, making yourself significantly more valuable in the marketplace and bringing in those robust extra cash streams. Finally, years 6 through 10 are the compounding explosion. They are purely dedicated to feeding the wealth engine, relentlessly investing and buying assets with your newly freed up supercharged income. It is methodical, it is fiercely realistic, and most importantly, it works.
The roadmap is crystal clear. The get-rich-quick myths are completely gone, replaced by a strategic, actionable blueprint. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The next 10 years are going to pass anyway. At the end of that decade, you will either be exactly where you are right now, struggling on the financial treadmill, or you will be financially free. Your 10 years start today. What specific, realistic step will you take right now to begin your transformation? Are you going to write out that 50-30-20 budget tonight? The blueprint is in your hands. Now it's time to build.